Ladies, have you ever felt that strange pull that makes no logical sense? That silent current that keeps someone alive in your thoughts long after they've disappeared from your life? They're not calling, they're not texting, they're not showing up at your door or in your feed. Yet somehow, they are there. An invisible presence that lingers in the quiet corners of your mind. You wake up and before your eyes have even opened, their image flickers across your thoughts. You pour your morning coffee, stare out the window, and without warning, there they are again. Like a ghost woven into the air you breathe. It's not obsession, though it can feel like it. It's not madness, though it might make you question your sanity. It's something deeper, something mysterious that defies simple logic. Their silence echoes louder than words, and their absence feels almost alive. You can laugh with friends, lose yourself in work, chase new dreams, but their presence trails behind, soft and invisible, like perfume that never fades. And you wonder why. Why does someone who no longer belongs to your present still own space in your heart? Why does the thought of them visit you in quiet moments, uninvited yet familiar? Like an old song you can't stop humming? My dear, it's not random. It's not coincidence. It's a whisper from something beyond reason. Because sometimes, when a connection runs deeper than surface understanding, it leaves traces that time cannot erase. It becomes energy, living, breathing, vibrating in unseen ways. The first truth, the emotional imprint that never fades. When someone touches your soul, even for the briefest moment, they leave behind an invisible signature, an emotional fingerprint, that becomes part of who you are. It doesn't matter whether it ended in laughter or in tears, joy or heartbreak. What matters is how deeply it made you feel. Emotions have power. They write themselves into your memory with permanent ink. Think about it. The moments that shaped you most weren't the ordinary ones. They were the ones that shook your heart, made you cry, made you dream, made you come alive. The brain remembers emotion more than detail. That's why you might forget the exact words he said, but never the way he made you feel. That feeling, that surge of warmth, that ache, that spark becomes a living memory, replaying itself when you least expect it. When you can't stop thinking about him, it might not be about longing. It might be your mind's way of revisiting something unfinished, trying to understand what happened, to relive what was beautiful, or to heal what still hurts. Because emotional energy doesn't vanish, it transforms. It waits for closure, for peace, for meaning. Until you give it that, it circles back again and again. The second truth, unfinished business between souls. Sometimes the people who haunt your mind are not meant to stay. They are meant to awaken. But when the ending feels incomplete, when words were left unsaid, when goodbyes were never truly spoken, your heart holds on. Silence becomes heavier than sound. The story replays in fragments. What you should have said, what you wish they knew, what you wish you could change. Maybe your story ended too soon. Maybe it wasn't even a story, just a beginning that never got a chance to bloom. Yet your heart feels the weight of its unfinished pages. You see, silence doesn't erase what's unresolved. It amplifies it. The mind, in its quiet obsession, keeps circling back, trying to write an ending that never came. Deep down, a voice whispers, "This wasn't supposed to end this way." And until your soul finds peace or time rewrites the narrative, that person will keep appearing. Not because you want them to, but because your spirit is still searching for understanding. Then comes the third truth, the invisible bond of energy. Haven't you ever thought of someone and then, moments later, your phone lights up with their name? It's easy to brush it off as coincidence. But what if it isn't? Psychology calls it intuition. Spirituality calls it energetic connection. Science may not have the words for it yet, but hearts recognize it instantly. When two souls share a bond that goes beyond the physical, silence cannot break it. Energy doesn't need sound to travel. Even when no words are spoken, you might feel their emotions. A sudden heaviness in your chest, a strange calm, a wave of nostalgia that doesn't seem to come from your own mind. It's as if some invisible thread still ties you to them. Your souls are whispering across distance, in a language only energy understands. You can feel their happiness without seeing it. You can sense their sadness even when they hide it. And sometimes, without knowing why, you find yourself sending silent prayers into the universe for them. That's what connection does. It transcends the boundaries of time and communication. It lives in the quiet frequencies where the human heart becomes a transmitter of feeling. And then there's the fourth truth, one that's often the hardest to face. The mirror of your own heart. Sometimes when you can't stop thinking about him, it's not about him at all. It's about you. The human mind uses symbols to communicate with the heart. That person might be a reflection of your own unhealed parts, your longing, your loneliness, your need for validation, your hunger for deep love, your hidden dreams. The mind fixates on the person who once stirred these emotions, not because it wants them back, but because it's trying to show you something within yourself. He becomes a mirror, not of who he is, but of what you are still learning. His memory might be revealing what you crave, what you miss, what you haven't forgiven. Maybe you're not really missing him. Maybe you're missing the version of yourself that existed when you felt alive, desired, seen. The truth is, we rarely fall for people alone. We fall for the reflection of our own emotions that they bring to life. When you think of him constantly, your soul might be nudging you towards self-discovery. It's whispering, look inward. There's something here that still needs your love. And so your thoughts keep returning. Not to torture you, but to teach you. To remind you that healing is not about erasing someone from memory, but about reclaiming the parts of yourself that you gave away. Then there is the fifth truth, the law of attraction at work. The universe is a mirror. What you focus on expands. Energy flows where attention goes. When you think of someone with intensity, whether with love, confusion, or longing, you're sending waves of energy in their direction. And energy has a magnetic nature. It moves, it vibrates, it attracts. That's why sometimes, just when you begin to feel their presence more than ever, they reappear. Through a message, a dream, a coincidence that seems too perfect to be random. It's not always meant to rekindle love. Sometimes it's just the universe returning what you've been energetically sending out. When you dwell on someone, your vibration aligns with the memory of them. And energy, like a magnet, draws in experiences that match that frequency. This is why you might keep attracting reminders, songs, scents, moments that pull you back. The universe echoes your focus. It responds not to your words, but to your energy. And yet, in that very energy lies your power. Because just as your thoughts can summon their presence, they can also summon your healing. By shifting your focus inward, from them to you, you begin to reclaim that energy, to rewrite the vibration of your own life. So when someone refuses to leave your mind, don't rush to silence the feeling. Sit with it. Listen to it. Let it speak. Sometimes the presence that haunts you is not a curse. It's a calling. A sign that your heart is awakening to something far deeper than love alone. It's awakening to understanding. Ladies, the mind is a powerful storyteller, and when it loves, it writes in ink that does not easily fade. You may think you've moved on, convinced yourself you're fine, even built walls strong enough to keep every memory out. But then, out of nowhere, a song plays, a scent passes, a phrase escapes someone's lips, and suddenly the walls crack. That one thought of him sneaks through like light through a keyhole. You can't explain it. You didn't invite it. But there it is, his face, his voice, the memory of a touch that once felt like home. This is the battle between the mind and the heart. The mind says, forget him, move forward. But the heart whispers, he still matters. And that quiet whisper always seems louder than reason. Because the heart has no concept of time. It doesn't understand endings. To the heart, what was once real remains alive until it's fully understood. Until it's fully felt, until it's released in peace. This inner tug of war can exhaust you. You wake up determined to let go. And by night, you find yourself lost in old daydreams again. But what if this battle isn't something to fight? What if it's something to understand? When the mind and heart are at odds, it's not because you're weak, it's because something deep within You is trying to reconcile emotion with logic. Your soul is trying to bridge the gap between what you know and what you feel. Ironically, the quieter he becomes, the louder his presence feels. Silence makes desire roar. Absence amplifies emotion. The human heart doesn't always crave what's present. It often aches for what it cannot have. The more you try to suppress it, the more it rises to the surface, asking to be felt one last time. Because the truth is, healing doesn't come from forgetting. It comes from feeling everything you tried to avoid. But not every haunting presence is meant to be love that returns. Some are hidden lessons wrapped in memory. The universe sends people for reasons we rarely see in the moment. Some are mirrors, some are messengers, some are storms that shake us awake. The person who lingers in your thoughts may have been sent to teach you something vital about boundaries, patience, vulnerability, or self-worth. Maybe he came to remind you that you still know how to feel. Maybe he came to test your strength, to show you the parts of yourself you forgot existed. Sometimes love is not the destination, it's the classroom, and the pain of someone's absence is the lesson your soul needs most. You learn that love is not always meant to last, that closure doesn't always come from others, that some doors stay open, not because you're waiting for them to return, but because you haven't walked through them yet. His memory becomes a teacher in disguise. And until your heart absorbs the lesson, it will keep replaying his name like an unfinished song. But there's another layer to this mystery, a layer that transcends reason entirely. The mystery of telepathic love. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you think of him and he appears online the same moment? Or you dream of him and wake to find a message waiting? These coincidences are too intimate to ignore. Across distance, across silence, it's as if your souls still whisper in a secret language. Science may not yet explain it, but energy knows. Love, in its purest form, is vibration, and vibration travels, even when words do not. Two hearts once connected don't always need conversation to communicate. Sometimes you feel his mood before he says a word. Sometimes you wake up heavy without knowing why, only to find out later that he's been struggling. This isn't fantasy. It's resonance. When two energies have touched deeply, they leave an imprint on each other's frequency. You pick up subtle waves that ordinary logic cannot measure. Your souls keep speaking long after your mouths have gone silent. It's in those moments that you realize connection doesn't always fade. It just changes form. What once was touch becomes intuition. What once was conversation becomes energy. And that energy keeps moving between you, invisible but undeniable. You might even find that when you finally let go, not in anger, but in peace, he feels it too. That is the silent language of souls, the telepathy of love that defies space and time. Beyond telepathy lies something even greater, the spiritual connection of souls. Not every bond is random. Some hearts recognize each other from before this lifetime. You meet, and something deep inside you whispers, "I've known you before." It's not imagination, it's remembrance. These are karmic connections, threads woven through lifetimes, pulling two people together to finish what was once left undone. Sometimes they come to heal old pain. Sometimes they come to test if you've truly learned. Sometimes they come to prepare you for the one who is truly meant to stay. Karmic ties can feel magnetic and consuming. They are intense because they are ancient. They feel fated because in a sense they are. But they are not always meant to last forever. Some are here for completion, not continuation. Until that spiritual energy is balanced, your mind won't release him. It will keep looping, replaying, remembering. Not as punishment, but as process. Your soul is working through lifetimes of emotion in one single present moment. That's why it feels so deep, so inexplicable. That's why logic cannot fix it. The connection runs beyond logic's reach. You can't reason your way out of a soul bond. You can only honor it, learn from it, and let it evolve. Because once the spiritual lesson is integrated, the obsession dissolves. What was once pain turns into peace. What was once longing becomes gratitude. But how do you get there? How do you live with the weight of a person who exists only in thought? Who still feels real but is no longer present? You start by honoring the feeling instead of resisting it. Fighting the thought makes it grow stronger. But when you allow it, when you say, yes, he's in my mind again, and that's okay, something softens. Acceptance opens the door to release. Ask yourself gently, what does he represent? Was he the mirror of your passion? The reminder of your worth? The reflection of your wounds? Every thought carries a message. You just have to listen without judgment. If it's love, let it teach you how deeply you can care. If it's pain, let it show you where you still need healing. If it's longing, let it reveal what your heart truly desires. There's always a reason, and the reason always leads back to you. Because no matter how strong the connection, your healing is your own responsibility. He may have touched your soul, but the journey to peace belongs to you. The energy that binds can also liberate when you transform it. Instead of sending thoughts that pull him closer, send thoughts that bless him, that set him free. That's the true act of love, releasing someone so that both hearts can find peace in their own rhythm. And when you do that, something magical happens. The heavy thoughts begin to fade. The ache softens into quiet gratitude. You stop wondering if he's thinking of you, because you realize it no longer matters. Whether he does or doesn't, your soul is complete either way. Remember, what you focus on expands. So when your focus shifts from him to yourself, from attachment to growth, the universe responds. It begins to replace what's gone with what's meant to be. The energy you once gave away returns home, and you start to feel whole again. And maybe, just maybe, that's what this entire experience was about. Not losing yourself in someone else, but finding the parts of yourself you didn't know you had, the depth, the passion, the capacity to feel so deeply. Sometimes the people who won't leave our minds are simply the catalysts that awaken the best within us. Ladies, there comes a moment when you stop asking why and start understanding what for. Because every thought, every ache, every sleepless night has a purpose. When someone occupies your mind so completely, it's not always a sign that you need them back. It's a sign that your soul is trying to evolve. The heart never lingers without reason. It lingers where it has something left to learn. You see, the journey of letting go is not a straight road. It's a spiral. You think you've moved on, and then life loops you back to the same memory. The same face, the same feeling, but each time, you're a little wiser, a little stronger, a little closer to peace. This is how healing works. It's not about forgetting what happened. It's about changing what it means to you. That person who lingers in your mind is no longer a wound. They are becoming a mirror that reflects your growth. There's a sacred process hidden inside the pain. Every thought of him is an invitation to look deeper, to feel deeper, to understand yourself in new ways. Maybe his absence revealed how much of your happiness you gave away. Maybe his silence taught you the power of your own voice. Maybe his distance showed you that love is not possession, it's freedom. Every lesson wrapped in his memory is a step toward your awakening. You learn that love is not about holding on, it's about allowing. You can love someone and still let them go. You can miss someone and still wish them peace. You can feel the echo of their energy and not let it control you. Real strength is not in forgetting, but in remembering without pain. When you reach that point, you realize that the person who once felt like your undoing was actually your teacher in disguise. There's a hidden beauty in heartbreak that few ever see. It strips away illusion. It humbles the ego. It softens the heart. When everything falls apart, the soul begins to rebuild, but this time with wisdom, boundaries, and grace. That's when you start to notice something miraculous. You begin to fall in love with yourself. You start to value your own presence the way you once valued theirs. You stop chasing validation from another and start finding it in your own reflection. That's the true healing. The moment you no longer need anyone to complete you, because you've become whole within yourself. And yet, even as you grow, the universe has a way of testing your peace. Just when you think you've moved on, something reminds you. A name in a conversation, a memory in a dream, a random encounter that feels too divine to be coincidence. You might find yourself wondering, is this a sign? Is the universe trying to bring us back together? But not every sign means reunion. Some signs are reminders, gentle nudges from the universe saying, "You've come far, don't forget the lesson." Sometimes the universe repeats the test to show you how much you've learned. The first time you reacted, the second time you remembered, the third time you smiled. That's growth. That's power. That's freedom. Because when you can think of him and feel peace instead of pain, that's when you know the bond has served its purpose. You begin to understand that life is energy, and energy never dies. It just transforms. The love that once bound you to him doesn't disappear. It changes form. It becomes compassion. It becomes creativity. It becomes wisdom. You start channeling that energy into your art, your work, your purpose. You build something beautiful from what once broke you. That's the divine alchemy of the heart, turning pain into power, memories into meaning, endings into evolution. And maybe, somewhere out there, he feels it too. Maybe he wakes one morning with a calm he can't explain. Maybe he thinks of you and doesn't feel guilt or longing, but gratitude. Because even if your paths never cross again, the energy you once shared has become something sacred. Love doesn't always have to stay to be real. Sometimes it's enough that it existed, that it changed you both in ways you'll never forget. There's also something mysterious about timing. The universe moves with perfect precision. Sometimes you meet the right person at the wrong time. Sometimes you're ready, but they're not. Sometimes life has to break you both apart so you can grow into the versions of yourselves that truly belong together. And sometimes you never meet again because your story was never meant for forever, only for transformation. If he's meant to return, he will. But if not, trust that his absence is protection. The universe never takes without reason. It always replaces what's gone with something greater. It might not happen overnight, but it will. You'll wake up one day and realize the space he once filled is now occupied by peace, by purpose, by self-love. The same heart that once ached for him will now beat for you. So, what should you do when his memory visits you? Don't run from it. Welcome it like an old friend. Let it speak, then let it go. Write, pray, breathe, meditate, cry if you must. Healing is not pretty, but it's sacred. Every tear waters the soil of your becoming. Every sleepless night brings you closer to clarity. Every quiet morning you survive without reaching out to him is proof of your strength. Focus on yourself, not as a distraction but as a devotion. Pour your love into your own life. Take the same energy you once gave away and use it to build your dreams, to nurture your body, to explore your passions. You are not meant to shrink because someone left. You are meant to rise because you learned how to love beyond your limits. And remember, you are not haunted by his memory. You are awakened by it. He didn't stay because his role in your story was never permanence. It was revelation. He came to show you what your heart is capable of, to remind you that you can feel deeply, love fiercely, and still survive. You can walk through fire and come out shining. That's not loss. That's transformation. One day, you'll meet someone new, and it will be different. You won't need to chase or question or prove. You'll love without fear because you've already learned what it means to lose and heal. You'll recognize real peace when it arrives. You'll be able to say, I loved before, I was hurt before, but I grew. And that's what makes you powerful, because now, you love with awareness. You give without losing yourself. You feel without falling apart. And maybe, just maybe, that's the ultimate truth behind why he still lives in your thoughts. Not because you're cursed to remember him, but because your soul needed to awaken. His silence was the space you needed to find your own voice. His absence was the mirror that showed you your strength. And now, as you begin to walk forward, lighter, wiser, freer, you realize something miraculous. You're not missing him anymore. You're thanking him. Because every soul that touches ours leaves a piece of their light behind. And every time we heal, that light becomes part of who we are. You are a mosaic of every connection, every heartbreak, every lesson. And together, they form the masterpiece that is you. Ladies, at this stage, you begin to see the full tapestry of why some people stay alive in your mind long after they've left your life. It's not just memory. It's not just longing. It's something far deeper. A combination of energy, lessons, growth, and the very fabric of your soul awakening. By now, you've walked through the layers of emotion, the lessons of absence, the mysteries of spiritual connection. But there's one final truth. The thoughts, the memories, The quiet moments of longing, they are also invitations to own your own power. When someone refuses to leave your mind, it's easy to feel trapped, to believe that you're a victim of circumstance, that your heart is powerless. But that's far from the truth. Every thought of him is a reminder that you can feel deeply, that you can love profoundly, that you are capable of holding space for a human connection so strong. It resonates beyond sight and sound. That is strength. That is magic. That is proof that your heart is alive and vibrant and uncontainable. The truth is, nobody occupies your mind without leaving a gift behind. Sometimes it's obvious, like a lesson in love or loss. Sometimes it's subtle, like a spark of self-awareness you didn't have before. Maybe he stayed in your thoughts because he reminded you of your own resilience. Maybe he stayed because he nudged you to rediscover your own worth. Maybe he stayed because the universe knew you weren't ready to see your own brilliance yet. And now you are. There's also a sacred rhythm to the process of release. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't force it. You can't rush it. Your soul works in its own time, in its own way. Some days, his memory will sit lightly on your chest, almost pleasant like a warm breeze. Other days, it will weigh heavily, like a shadow that refuses to move. And that's okay. Each experience, each wave of emotion is a step forward. Each return of memory is an opportunity to observe without clinging, to feel without surrendering entirely, to witness your own growth in real time. And here's the beauty. When you stop resisting, when you stop trying to erase him from your mind, something shifts. Acceptance doesn't make him stay, it doesn't bring him back, but it makes you free. Freedom comes not from removing the memory, but from understanding it. Freedom comes from seeing the person as a chapter, not the whole book. Freedom comes from realizing that the energy he left behind is now yours to guide, to transform, to use to lift yourself higher. Sometimes, we search desperately for closure from the other person, thinking that only they can give it. But closure is never someone else's gift, it's your own. It's the act of taking what remains in your heart and saying, I understand, I feel it, I honor it, and now I release it. Journaling, meditating, prayer, deep reflection, these are not just rituals. They are acts of reclaiming your own energy from the past. They are proof that you are in command of your own heart. And once you do this, something magical happens. The obsessive thoughts that once dominated your mind begin to fade into memory. The ache softens into nostalgia. The longing transforms into gratitude. You start remembering him without pain, thinking of him without desperation, seeing his influence without attachment. This is the moment of true healing, when the soul integrates what was lost, when love becomes a teacher rather than a captor, when absence turns into empowerment. At this point, your heart is ready to expand again. You notice life differently. Colors feel brighter. Conversations feel deeper. Moments of silence feel full, not empty. You no longer seek validation or fulfillment from the person who once haunted your thoughts. Instead, you draw it from yourself. You become a source of your own happiness, and that is perhaps the most profound lesson anyone can ever leave behind. The reminder that you are always whole. And yes, sometimes the universe may cross your paths again. Maybe by design, maybe by chance, but you are no longer the person who clung. You are someone stronger, wiser, clearer. You meet with peace, not need. You meet with love, not dependence. You meet with curiosity, not desperation. And in that meeting, whether brief or enduring, you will recognize that the real story was never about returning. It was about evolving. There is also the quiet magic of understanding. That human connection is not always meant to anchor you, it's meant to awaken you. People come into your life to show you what's possible, to challenge your heart, to awaken the depth of your own capacity for love. And when their time is done, their presence may linger in your mind, not as a curse, but as a reminder that your heart is capable of holding the infinite. And here's the final secret, the ultimate truth. If someone can live in your thoughts without speaking, if they can occupy your mind through silence, then imagine the power of your own presence in the hearts of those who truly love you. You are unforgettable. You are luminous. You are magnetic, not because you chase, not because you cling, but because you exist fully, fiercely, unapologetically. And that is a force that the universe recognizes, that the right people will notice, and that your own heart will never forget. So honor the thoughts, honor the feelings, honor the memory. Let it guide you, not bind you. Let it remind you of your capacity to feel deeply, to love freely, to heal completely. Take the energy of what was once longing and turn it into your own power. Build your life around your own joy. Surround yourself with people and experiences that lift you, that reflect your own light, that honor the woman you are becoming. And always remember, someone who refuses to leave your mind is not proof of weakness or failure. It is proof that your heart is alive, that your soul is awake, that your capacity to feel is limitless. It is proof that you can experience love with intensity, survive its absence, and emerge stronger than ever. The memories, the late-night thoughts, the invisible threads, they are not chains. They are teachers. They are reminders. They are invitations to grow, to love yourself, and to claim your own destiny. And when you finally understand this, when you integrate this truth into your being, you will realize something extraordinary. The person who once haunted your mind helped you find yourself. And that, my dear, is a kind of love that never truly leaves. It doesn't linger in the form of longing or obsession. It lingers as wisdom, as growth, as the radiant power of a heart that has survived, healed, and opened again. Because in the end, the one who remains in your mind is not as important as the one who rises within you. And that person, you, is unforgettable.